This week on ANN, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency responds to storms in the Philippines and Caribbean.
Adventist Community Services are ready to respond after deadly storms hit the U.S. East Coast.
And the Global Church requests prayers after a tragedy strikes Oakwood University.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
The Adventist Development and Relief Agency in the Philippines has deployed an emergency response team to assess the situation and provide aid to some of the communities most affected by Super Typhoon Mangkhut, known locally as Ompong.
The powerful typhoon, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane, made landfall in the northern island of Luzon on Saturday, September 15th. The typhoon has affected more than 4.6 million people, forcing more than 51,000 into evacuation shelters. Initial reports set the number of deaths at 14.
The 560-mile-wide super typhoon also triggered flood watches in many areas. Meanwhile, local authorities are also conducting search and rescue operations to find survivors as they clear toppled trees, electrical posts, and debris.
Shelter kits are being prepared to be distributed by ADRA Philippines as part of its emergency relief efforts, but more aid is likely as the scope of the devastation and the needs become clearer. Adventist Community Services, or ACS, is working with the Adventist Development and Relief Agency and other disaster relief groups to help victims of Hurricane Florence. ACS Disaster Relief in both South Atlantic and Carolina conferences were mobilized before Hurricane Florence hit the U.S. state of North Carolina's coast on Friday, September 14th. The aftermath of Florence, which included 32 storm-related deaths, 25 in North Carolina, 6 in South Carolina, and 1 in Virginia, has caused thousands to be displaced from their homes due to flooding and loss of power. The South Atlantic Conference has provided temporary shelter at River Oaks Camp in Orangeburg, South Carolina. The American Red Cross is also partnering with ACS Disaster Relief. They have provided 200 sleeping cots. Needs assessments will continue in order to provide additional help as necessary. As residents begin returning to homes and businesses, the Carolina Conference is providing flood buckets filled with supplies to assist in the storm cleanup. They will be distributed at several churches and academies. ACS Disaster Relief is working to provide gift cards along with the buckets. 12 families from North Carolina are sheltering at the University of Maryland in College Park after their homes were affected by Florence. Maryland Department of Human Services has requested that ACS help with spiritual care as well as supervised child care for the children. These families will remain at the university at least until this weekend. Potomac Conference ACS has been asked to assist in efforts.
ADRA is also assisting in the tracking of another storm, this one in the Caribbean. With maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, Tropical Storm Isaac is anticipated to move slowly across the eastern and central Caribbean Sea and expected to weaken during the next few days, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. However, ADRA is on alert and monitoring the storm. ADRA emergency officials are urging everyone facing these storms to follow alerts from local emergency officials, to pay attention to any official information that is released to the public, and be cautious and alert as safety for all involved is the highest priority.
We are sad to report that a student from Oakwood University, Carvel Goodloe, a sophomore from the U.S. state of Michigan, died on Sunday evening. University staff, community-based counselors, and clergy are available for students to talk, pray, and counsel as needed. A prayer vigil was held in honor of Goodloe and his family Monday evening on Oakwood's campus. President of Oakwood University, Leslie Pollard, said in a statement, "On behalf of the entire Oakwood faculty staff, administration, student body, and alumni family, we extend our sincerest condolences to Carvel's family, to all of the friends who loved him here at Oakwood, and to his family back in Detroit. Carvel came to Oakwood with the Detroit cohort, recruited by alumnus Antoine Knight. All of us are choking back tears as we consider this senseless loss. Carvel's family and his mom is in our prayers today and forever. We ask that the Global Church prays for Goodloe's family and friends and for the students, faculty, and staff of Oakwood University."
A group of Pathfinders from Puerto Rico won a national robotics summer program after competing against a dozen other groups from the island.
As part of winning the top spot on the island, the 7-member team of young Seventh-day Adventists took part in the final International Space Stations event held in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico.
The winning Pathfinder team, called Robogan, took part in the Zero Robotics Middle School Summer Program, which follows a 5-week STEM curriculum. STEM introduces middle school students to computer programming, robotics, and space engineering, and provides hands-on experience programming spheres or synchronize, position, hold, engage, reorient experimental satellites.
For Robogan members, Ezequiel Velasquez, Jeremy Sebastian, Ricardo Muniz, Charlie Zurvera, Natalie Nieto, Jesselyn Morales, and Ariana Echeverria of the northeastern part of the island, it was a first experience that meant a sense of accomplishment.
Students create, edit, save, and stimulate projects online using a graphical editor to write code, then reproduce their programs and immediately see the results using simulation.
Team Robogan represented Puerto Rico in the international competition, which consisted of virtually connecting with 2 NASA astronauts at the International Space Station who judged the project.
The Robogan team watched the spheres operate in space via a live feed from the International Space Station, while NASA astronauts used their coding in 2 robotic spheres and provided real-time commentary.
Coming up, the top leader of the Adventist Church in South America releases a new devotional.
But up next, Adventist Record in Australia wins multiple awards for their publication.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system: the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the 7th-day Sabbath. The first 6 columns of the grid belong to the designer. They can be filled with anything: text, images, illustrations, patterns, and logos. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, does not belong to them. It is meant to be different and special. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Welcome back.
Adventist Media has been recognized at the annual Australasian Religious Press Association Awards, winning 4 awards across 2 publications.
This year's conference was held in Brisbane, Australia on the 2nd weekend of September. The awards were announced during Saturday night's formal awards dinner.
Adventist Record received 2 silver awards and 1 bronze award. The silver awards were for Best Original Illustration for the cover, Being Adventist in a Post-Truth World, and Best News Story for Sonia Kama's report, Young Adventists Honored for Fighting Gender-Based Violence.
The Bronze Award for Best Editorial was awarded to Adventist Record senior editor Jared Stackelroth for his work standing in the gap against mental illness.
Mums at the Table won a bronze award in the Best Magazine Cover category for its September 2017 Dad issue cover, the first ever issue of the magazine.
Urton Carlos Kohler, the president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in South America, recently released a devotional for 2019 with more than 300 reflections of hope. The devotional is a product of the Brazilian publishing house. It consists of brief text for daily reading and meditation with biblical applications on diverse topics. For this year's theme, Kohler chose the theme of hope. The devotionals will be printed in both Portuguese and Spanish. For more information, visit noticias.adventistas.org.
A vida está cada vez mais intensa. As pessoas não sabem para onde vão. Tem perguntas, mas não tem respostas. O mundo está sem rumo, não sabemos para onde vamos, não sabemos o que queremos, não sabemos o que buscamos. não dedicamos tempo às coisas mais importantes. Quais são as suas prioridades? Algumas pessoas estão fora de foco. As nossas famílias precisam estar unidas em amor. Todos nós precisamos de tempo para parar, para refletir, para pensar. Nossa verdadeira esperança está na palavra de Deus, especialmente quando encontramos tempo para nos encontrar com Ele. Essa é a mais profunda reflexão que uma pessoa pode ter. E então encontra esperança e um significado para viver.
Local underrepresented minority high school students were inspired to achieve more and serve others after participating in an immersive 2-week learning experience through Loma Linda University Health's Summer Gateway program. According to the American Association of Medical Colleges, African Americans, Latinos, and American Indians comprise approximately 1/4 of the total population of the United States, but represent less than 10% of the workforce in the health professions of medicine, nursing, dentistry, and pharmacy. Summer Gateway aims to create positive attitudes toward healthcare professions among high school students through presentations, activities, and service opportunities. A variety of professionals and students from Loma Linda University Health volunteered their time to provide lectures and to assist with hands-on activities. This summer, nearly 70 students participated in the program and 21 were selected to shadow practicing medical professionals for an additional week. The program also provides training on how to take the SAT exam, apply for financial aid, and improve study skills. And in addition to academic and career guidance, students participate in activities that promote physical activity, nutrition, spiritual care, and community service.
In the darkest part of German's life, God brought light into his life through Adventist World Radio.
AWR 360 has more.
Come with me to find out how Adventist World Radio reached a man in his darkest hour. This is AWR 360. Adventist World Radio is in Argentina. With our many radio stations, the message of the Lord is going out. And because of the broadcast, many churches have started thanks to this ministry. Sometimes the people discover the radio thanks to a friend. Other times it is thanks to godly people passing out flyers on how to listen to AWR. Today we are in Rosario, a city with no shortage of people needing God. I am here to meet Herman. As we greeted each other, he began to tell me his story.
I have many regrets about my past. Opportunities wasted, relationships broken. I know the Lord was trying to call me, but I just didn't listen.
Herman lived a life of earthly pleasures, a man of the world. He has had multiple marriages and many girlfriends, but then he started to date someone different.
She called herself an Adventist. She was different from all the other girls I dated.
She even got him to go to church. But then he did something he would regret. He didn't speak to us about what happened, but I could see his pain. He turned his back on God and went back to the world, hoping to block out his regret.
Life was empty, and I felt the worst I had ever felt in my life. At work, the darkness brought back all the bad memories.
But even in the darkness, God can bring light. While on a break at work, he decided to listen to the radio.
As I was tuning, I stopped at a channel I never heard before.
It was AWR radio, and as the music filled the room, it also filled his soul. He continued to listen day after day, and he began to feel Christ's love for him. Light was entering his heart.
I started to see that Jesus had forgiven me.
Back at home, he started studying his Bible. Each passage gave him strength to believe his past was forgiven. Herman wanted to know more. He went to a local Adventist church requesting Bible studies. He was falling in love with Christ, and he knew he had to share this message.
I couldn't stay silent. The love of Christ had to be shared to others.
Even as he was still studying the lessons himself, Herman invited his sister and niece to study with him. And soon both he and his sister were baptized into the Adventist church.
Words cannot express how thankful I am to AWR. I am in the church today thanks to this ministry.
It is testimonies like these that make me grateful for the work of AWR. So many people living in darkness are searching for hope and truth. God is using AWR to light their path. Together with your support, the gospel is being spread around this world like beacons of light. No walls, no borders, no limits. This is AWR 360.
To see this and other videos from Adventist World Radio, visit awr.org.
Coming up, Emily Mastrapa is here to tell you how you can help in the wake of the world's devastating storms.
But up next, Adventist Mission shares how the church in India is reaching people for Christ.
The church was undergoing practical challenges. The Hellenistic Jews were complaining against the Hebraic Jews because the former's widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. The apostles decided that they needed to focus on the ministry of prayer and the Word, and so they requested for 7 deacons to be chosen for these other practical tasks.
The apostles asked us, as a group, to choose 7 men who were known to be full of the Spirit and have wisdom. This proposal from the apostles pleased our whole group, so we went about selecting the 7 men. Once the men were selected, they were presented to the apostles. The apostles laid their hands on them and prayed for them.
With prayer as a priority, the church would never fail. After this, the number of disciples increased rapidly, and a large number of priests became obedient to the Word.
May I work in with you, young fella?
Yeah. Go for it.
That's the way you do it. Gotta put a little weight on it. Well, I'll put it back up here for you.
Welcome back.
The Southern Asia Division is a place of great variety, flavor, cultures, and people.
Yeah. Learn how the Adventist Church grows in this vast region.
Adventist Mission has more.
Located between the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, the Southern Asia Division is a unique region known for its snowy mountains, beautiful islands, and highly populated cities. Well-known sites include the majestic Taj Mahal in India and towering Mount Everest in Nepal. The Southern Asia Division is made up of 4 countries: India, Nepal, Bhutan, and the Maldives. There are 1,300,000,000 people living in this division. In India alone, there are more than 22 major languages and more than 700 dialects. Reaching so many different people groups, cultures, languages, and dialects is a challenge. But despite these difficulties, local global mission pioneers are answering God's call. Although the Adventist message arrived in India more than 100 years ago, the Adventist Church has grown gradually here. Today, there are some 4,500 organized churches with more than 1.5 million members. Although the membership appears large, there is only one Seventh-day Adventist for every 865 people. This represents 0.13% of the total population. Small villages and snowy mountains are common features of Nepal and Bhutan. Reaching people in these mountain ranges can be difficult. Despite the challenges, the Adventist Church is growing. Together, Nepal and Bhutan have 34 churches and about 10,000 members in a territory with more than 29 million people. India is the second most populated country in the world and has approximately 50 cities with populations larger than 1 million. Here in the middle of crowded markets, busy streets, and hectic lives, the urban environment can be difficult for mission work. Across the country of India, the Adventist Church operates schools, radio and television studios, universities, and a publishing house. The membership in India makes up the majority of the division's total membership. In Pune, Adventists operate a respected educational institution, Spicer Adventist University. There are about 6,000 students enrolled, and many others would like to study here. Spicer not only attracts prospective students from almost every state and territory in India, but also has a student body that represents 29 different countries. Across town is the Oriental Watchman Publishing House in Pune. In operation for more than 115 years, the press publishes materials in 14 Indian languages, as well as literature for Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Throughout its history, this publishing house has been a valuable missionary tool, providing literature for the various people groups. In southern India, the coastal city of Chennai is home to Hope Channel India, part of a global network of television studios. This studio produces programs in 7 Indian languages, thanks to the efforts of a team of dedicated, faithful workers who are sending a message of hope in Jesus. In a territory so vast and heavily populated, there are countless mission challenges and opportunities in this diverse region of the world. Please pray for the work in India. Please ask God what you can do to help reach this challenging region. Thank you for your support of Adventist Mission.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting adventistmission.org. Then click on Videos at the top.
We hear of devastating storms and tragedies all over the world and wonder, how can I help?
Emily Mastrapa is here on how you can keep up with ADRA International and ACS here in the United States through social media.
Super Typhoon Mangkhut, a powerful typhoon equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane, made landfall in the northern island of Luzon on September 15. More than 4.6 million people were affected, forcing 51,000 people to evacuation shelters. ADRA Philippines is on the ground distributing shelter kits as part of its emergency relief efforts. More aid is likely as the scope of the devastation and the needs become clearer. You can get updates and see just how ADRA Philippines is helping by following them on Facebook at ADRA Philippines. They have posted multiple videos, Facebook Lives, and other pictures showing shelter kit distributions and interviews with recipients. You can also stay up to date on news by following ADRA International's Twitter page at ADRA-INTL. They have posted multiple videos and updates on the impact of the typhoon. You can find out what you can do to help on their Facebook page at Join ADRA. In the U.S., ADRA is also responding to Hurricane Florence in partnership with Adventist Community Services, or ACS. You can read how ACS is assisting in the recovery efforts after Hurricane Florence at communityservices.org.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Ashley Chisholm for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we hear about the very first camp meeting on Pitcairn Island.
September 17th, 1900 was the first Sabbath of the very first camp meeting on Pitcairn Island. Rosalind Young, an islander and a writer with an eye for historic detail, sent her account of the camp meeting to the Review. Under wide-spreading trees whose gnarled roots afforded natural seats for many, and where grass and ferns made soft and fragrant seats for the rest, we gathered for the study of God's Word, Young wrote of the camp meeting's very first Sabbath school. Preparation for the meeting began at least a week before September 14th, when the meeting started. After all, it had taken the Adventists 4 days of hard work to clear about 2 acres of land for their campsite, which had about 20 places for the families to stay and 1 large tent for the main meetings, which held nearly 100 people. The tent's roof was made from several yards of canvas plus 2 unused boat sails. The outside walls of the tent were coconut tree branches. They had also carried their supplies, including a small organ, uphill to the camp. After 10 days, they held one last meeting in the tent, singing the Adventist hymn, "Pilgrims On," before heading home. This hymn, whose author is unknown, first appeared in an issue of the Review from 1857, and it appeared in many Adventist hymnals, though it is not in today's hymnal. But once you know the first 2 lines, it's easy to see why the Adventists on Pitcairn sang it before striking their camp. "Pilgrims on, the day is dawning. Strike your tents and homeward haste." And that came from this week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
And be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos and write up a summary of the event's important details. And feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Well, before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 25.
The passage says, "But yes, I am the one who takes care of your sins. That's what I do. I don't keep a list of your sins."
Amen. That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.